Hey everyone, I'm Dalton Ross of Entertainment Weekly and EW Live on Sirius XM, and I am positively pumped and thrilled and ecstatic and over that same moon that Avasarala was exiled to by Nancy Gao, because I am here to welcome you to the 92nd Street Y Talk on Amazon Prime Video's The Expanse. We are going to get into everything going down in season 5, as well as give you a fun look into what life on the set of The Expanse is really like. And we can do all that because we are joined by an all-star gold medal blue ribbon panel from the show. Let's welcome them in before Marco Inaros goes and drops another asteroid on us all. First up, pour him a cup of coffee because James Holden himself, Stephen Strait, is with us, everyone.
Hello.
From floating in outer space to occupying a Zoom window here at the 92nd Street Y, the woman who plays Naomi Nagata, Dominique Tipper, is here.
Hello.
He takes an occasional break from watching cheesy 1980s action movies to star as Amos Burton. Wes Chatham is in the virtual house.
Hey.
As Avasarala, she curses on screen better than anyone I know. Sharaya Gashlu is with us. And he wrote 4 of the episodes this season. Executive producer Dan Nowak has logged in as well. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. Very excited to chat about everything. And I've told you guys before how much I love season 5. It's my favorite season so far. And Stephen, we talked about this when we had you guys on my SiriusXM radio show, but this is a very different season of The Expanse because you all barely, if at all, even see each other on screen. I mean, everyone's off doing their own thing with their own group. How is the feel of filming different at all with the Rossi crew not sharing many, if any, scenes together?
Yeah, it's a very different structure this year for sure. Shooting it for me was odd. I think, we really have become a family in the same way that the Rossi crew has in obviously different circumstances, but it was a much, I don't even know the word. For Holden, it's a much lonelier experience going through this season on his own for sure. And, and we still obviously saw each other socially and rehearsed together on the weekends and all that stuff. But being on set, it's the Rossi crew almost feels like one organism, when we're working together. And, it really does speak to the confidence in the writing that they shook it up this year, and they put this different kind of body out there for us to play with, and we just took that challenge and kind of worked with that different tone. It was a very different tone on set.
But like Sheree, you're used to this though, right? Like you're always kind of off doing your own thing with separate set of actors and characters and problems to deal with. So you're like, yeah, I'm used to being on my own.
Well, to me, we're all one tribe of the showmakers, actors, producers, regardless of our background, nationality, color of skin, accent, regardless of all those, we all belong to the same club, to the same tribe. That's why as soon as we start, especially in this case, because this one, I've worked 48 years, but I haven't seen anything like this before, where, as Stephen was rightfully saying, we're all a family. We do care about one another, and we enjoy telling the story with each other, regardless of our background. So for me, every project should be like that.
Right. Dan, I want to hear about from the writer's room perspective. Because, you've had characters like Avasarala and Bobby in past seasons. They're all kind of doing their own thing. But the Rossi crew is usually together. And now they're all over the galaxy. As you guys talked about in the writer's room, were you concerned about having these, not being able to have these characters play off each other? Because that's a big part of the dynamic of the show, is them playing off each other.
Yeah, I mean, it was, as a writer, I found it very interesting to do because we haven't done that before. Like you said, everybody's together and they play off each other. But with Nemesis Games, the book dictates that everybody is split up, and it gives us a chance to basically tell, like, when we split everybody up, we can tell their separate stories in a more organic way and get dig deeper into their characters, because they all go off for a very personal reason. I mean, Holden is the one who stays back because everybody else goes, but now he's the one who's stuck alone. And so he has his own personal journey. But Naomi goes to find her son. Amos goes back to Baltimore. Alex goes back to Mars to try to reconcile with his family. So it's kind of the quiet before the storm, where everybody says, oh, at the end of season 4, after we went to Illis, now we're back. Now we're all back. What do we do now? Well, we all have personal things we want to do. And so we do it. And then in the middle of all that, all hell breaks loose. And now we need to all go on our own separate adventures to try to get back together. But as, like I said, as a writer, I found this to be fascinating. Nemesis Games is my favorite book out of all of them. So this was really exciting for all of us as writers to finally get to in season 5.
You were pretty excited then. Do you remember when I asked you, it was episode 506, you were on the set, and I asked you, how are you feeling now that your characters have started walking and they're out and about? And what did you say?
I don't remember. I guess I was excited, but
You said, I'm very excited. I'm very happy.
yeah. I mean, like, yeah, this was my favorite season to do. We got to do a lot of personal stories, but also in a very grand, epic fashion. So I found it very exciting and just very rewarding.
Well, what was interesting for me is it really taught me a lot about the process, because we've been doing this up to that point before we started the season for 5 years. And so when we show up, we have to, we're at the same studio. We have the Rocinante. I put on the coveralls every year. And I remember it's like a pattern. I put on the coveralls, I get on the Rocinante, I'm around Dom, I'm around Steven, and we automatically were in the Rocinante, and the character, like you just pick up from where you left off. The beginning of this season, I was in downtown Toronto. The first scene that I shot, it was the arrival to Baltimore, and I have a completely different outfit on. None of the Rossi crews anywhere near me. I haven't seen them yet in this doing this year, and there's there's hundreds of extras, and we're not on set anywhere. We're in the middle of the city. And I just feel like I was in a different movie, and it was a really bizarre, struggle to kind of get connected to, what it is that we're doing for the season. But it was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I always feel bad for Holden. Everyone's off spreading their wings, and he's like, why is everyone leaving? Where is everyone?
Lonely,
Just back on the ship, spinning coffee cups alone.
So my favorite scene of the season is with Holden he's just swiping his friends to see if anybody called him back.
Did anybody call? Any messages?
Like, where is everybody?
It's like, I promise, I'll chill out. I promise, I'll chill out. Just come back. I promise.
Checking his DMs. He's just like, hey, is there not Twitter up here? Like, what's going on? Like,
Nothing.
I'm not going to risk your guys' life anymore, I promise.
So as we talk about everyone leaving and doing this other stuff, we saw a lot of Amos in episode 506, and I mean a lot of Amos as Wes stripped down.
You're welcome.
I was wondering about that. I was like, Dan, are the producers just giving the people what they want? Or are you having some fun at Wes's expense here? Like, what's going on?
Well, I mean,
It
was below zero that night. They weren't giving Wes what he wanted.
I still remember, Wes, you said, though, when we were filming it and you were just standing there, and they come in, they wrap you up with the jacket right after. You're basically saying, I can't believe you guys didn't mess with me. I totally would have messed with you guys if you were standing out here naked and just made you stand out there and be like, hey, we got to reload the camera, so this is going to take about 5 minutes. Just hang tight.
Yeah, the crew and everybody around me is way kinder than I am, because I would have played a lot of fun and games if somebody had to get naked in the snow and the frozen tundra in the woods.
It's such a great scene, but I did have a big question about that, actually, and I'm so glad I'm chatting, because I want to get your perspective on this, because we see Amos and Clarissa go to the survivalist house, right? And Amos says, I got a water recycler, I'll trade you for a gun. But the dude replies, hey, I'll just kill you instead. And he's just about to do that before Clarissa tears him apart. So here's the question I've been wondering. Yeah, it's discombobulating. But here's what I've been wondering, Wes. I want to get your take on this. What would Amos have done if the dude was not violent? And let's say he had agreed to trade. Oh, water recycler, that seems fair. And you seem a little cold. Go ahead, put your clothes back on. Let's get you warmed up with some hot cocoa. Then what does Amos do?
What Amos would have done is he would have did whatever was necessary. He would have taken and done whatever's necessary for him and Clarissa to survive. And if the guy would just have to accept it, you know, whatever it is that they need, they're going to take what they need. They're going to do what they have to do. And if the guy accepts it, everything, then that's fine. And you know, I'll leave him with some supplies. But if he doesn't,
So the same result, basically. It's just the same.
The same result, but there is a way that the guy wouldn't have gotten murdered.
Maybe like tied up, but not murdered.
Well, if he said, "Yeah, come take everything you need and just leave me alone," then I would have taken everything I needed and left him alone. But I would have made sure that he wasn't following us or he had any kind of firearms for retaliation afterwards.
Does the writer's room agree with that, Dan?
I mean,
Our survey says.
yeah. Let's go to the board. No, I mean, Wes is completely right. Amos just does he's very practical, he's very pragmatic. And if he gets what he needs, he doesn't need to use violence. I mean, he uses it if he has to, but I mean, it's definitely a go-to if there's any kind of conflict, but if he doesn't need to use it, he's not going to.
All right, let's talk about Naomi, who's clearly, if people have watched to 507, they know at the very end of 507, she's clearly in bad shape. We'll see if she makes it out of episode 8 alive by the end of episode 508. But what I can say, and you and I have talked about this, Dominique, is that without spoiling anything in terms of what happens, because people can watch to find out for themselves, you give in the next episode what looks like one of the most physically and emotionally draining performances I've ever seen. And, you know, it's one thing to have a tough emotional episode that's really taxing. It's also, if you have to do a lot of physical stuff on camera, that can be really difficult. But when you combine those two things, that's no joke. So when you read over that script from Mr. Dan Nowak, who wrote the next episode, and you saw what's in store, what's your reaction?
Well, with 7 and 8, basically, I didn't read the book. So at the beginning of this season, Narain, our showrunner, was like, we're gonna put you through the ringer this season. I was like, okay, buddy, like it's not gonna be anything more extreme than I've done before. But every episode I got, I was like, are y'all trying to kill me, or is this just like, I thought some of them were pranks. Like 7 going into 8 was just because obviously we shoot things as a block, so all of that stuff was getting shot at once, and I mean, it is legit the most challenging thing I think I've ever done in my life, because going into 8, I'm super isolated. And I think doing all of that on my own and just kind of not having any kind of like soundboard or person to respond to, it was tough, but also very much lent to what she was going through in that moment. So it kind of set the scene very well. But I just think, yeah, I was like mute on set in my set chair. Like I didn't have much to give anyone. It's probably the least animated I've been on set like ever in my life. Like there was no chats with anyone in between. Like I had to reserve my energy for what I was doing, because it really took it out of me. And I don't really do things by half measures in my life. So yeah, it was a lot.
You know, I'll tell a story. We were doing double up days, and Dom was in the depth of all of this stuff. And Dom gives 110, like her emotional life and everything. She really is it. And I was coming to work, and I'm usually in a good mood when I'm coming. Like I'm a morning guy, whatever, coming to work. And Dom, we were doing double up days, and she was coming off. And so I don't know if she's worked all night or whatever coming off, but I'm coming in and I see Dom always has these big jackets on, you know, and because it's always going, and I see her like coming out of the makeup trailer, and I see these little eyes look up, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened to you? She just looked exhausted and like circles under her eyes, and it's, you know, she's just doing these in attempts, you know, and I was like, you know what, you're probably not in the mood to have a conversation right now, so
don't want to talk.
I give you your.
Like the only thing I was accepting was hugs, so it was like that was it for me. But I will say, like, there is something about going that far. Like I really discovered what makes Naomi a survivor. I think I thought we had that in common, and I think we do to an extent, but I think there's so many moments where I would have given up in episode 8 myself. And I think it really speaks to who Naomi is in seeing her emotionally go through episode 7 and then physically throw herself into this situation that she then has to like MacGyver her way out of, to just kind of go through that as the actress. And there was just no end to her tries. Like, was a lot. It was quite sobering, and like, oh, you've earned this title of survivor, like that there's levels to this. And this is like level 21. It really, really speaks to Naomi as who Naomi is. And I think it's quite rewarding after what you see her go through the front half of this season. And she's kind of caged and dragged around the whole season and put through these emotional ringers by Marco and her son Philip. And so physically exerting this kind of survival thing was really rewarding, but for sure draining, and all the other things.
Your huge story this season, you mentioned it, it's you being reunited with your son Philip, who's played by Josiah Chase Owens. And you all have two very emotional scenes in 507, episode 507, which people have just watched. And so, yeah, I mean, Dom, I know that the simple answer to this very stupid question is, duh, it's acting. But how do you create a bond with a stranger who all of a sudden has to play the most important person in your life, who you've just been reunited with? And the two characters have so much history and such a complicated history, yet the two actors have really no history at all.
I mean, right. How do you? I guess, like, I know this sounds a bit, maybe, I don't mean this for this to sound reductive, but like, he really looks like me and Keon's son. Like, if I was to imagine someone that looked like our son, it would be Josiah. So just upon looking at him, like, I'm a very imagination-based actress, just looking at him and like that being convincing in front of my own eyes to kind of see myself reflected in someone that I obviously didn't birth was so, like, it so helped with the immersion of him being my son and me treating him that way. I also, you know, we hung out a lot outside of the set, and I developed quite a maternal attachment to him, which was really weird because he's actually like 25 years old. So I found, me and Keon both found ourselves being like, I will never forget this. We were at lunch once, and me, Keon, and Josiah were sitting just eating, and you know that's kind of the only way you can really work up that connection as actors, is to spend time offset, really. And so we would have lunch together every day, and basically we'd all finished eating, and Josiah was first, and I was like, make sure you put your jacket on before you go outside. And Keon was like, do you want me to scrape your plate for you? And then we were both like, what are we doing? And Josiah was like, fine, but like, okay. And it was just this thing of like, we kind of took it on in a way that I didn't really expect. And Keon also is an incredible actor and was fully in with us. And so we just, you know, all you can do as an actor is come prepared and be willing to go 100% in. And I think all of us did. I felt very supported, and there was a lot of trust there, and we just kind of went for it. And I think there were very beautiful results on screen, which I'm really happy about, because I don't think that's always the case. But everyone was 100% in. So yeah, I don't know. But I still to this day feel very maternal towards Josiah, which is a very weird sensation for me.
Actually, it's not, Dominic.
Is it not? Sure.
It's one of the ways that we can connect. And I remember I was 24 years old, and I was portraying a mother of a 2-year-old in one of Kiarostami's movies called The Report. When they brought the child to the set, I noticed that she was crying after her mother, asking for food, wanted to go to the bathroom. I went to her mother and I said, would you allow me to do all the things for her? You be here on the set, but allow me to play her mother, applying my normal human behavior on her. You know, just take care of her, clean her up, give her food. Third day, she was crying. She didn't want to
to go to you. Yeah.
Exactly. She was trying to get back to me. So it's one of the ways which it's very natural. And if it happens, it's one of the best ways of interconnecting.
Yeah, it feels very special. I feel like I'll always be connected to Josiah because of that. And also like in a little kind of actory process thing, I wrote a lot of like faux memories, like pseudo memories of him as a baby that kind of I feel like Naomi would have carried with her throughout kind of her absence from him. And I kind of called back to a lot of those and also memories from me being severed from him, which was a whole other thing. But yeah, I harked back to a lot of those in the moments when I was with him, which was also like a weird kind of, I had him send me baby pictures and stuff so I could look at him when he was a bubba. So that really helped as well, like to kind of connect him as a man to him as a baby when I would have left him as a mother. So there were just, there was many things.
Just show it on the screen. It comes out on the screen. And, as you're talking about spending time with Josiah and then also spending time with Keon and, man, Stephen, look, I'll say it, you're a handsome dude and all. And I know Marco just committed mass genocide, but he does have good hair. And he's wearing that tight shirt.
I know.
Like space pirate swag going on. I hope Holden doesn't have a jealous side, man.
He's got charisma, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. It's I think Holden in the beginning of this season, Dom, myself, and Breck Eisner really kind of spent a lot of time working on the scene where they depart from each other.
Yeah.
Because it's a really pivotal scene for the foundation of both arcs in the season. And, we talked a lot about just how the relationship itself is based on respect and trust. And when she says she's got to go, as painful as it is, he accepts that. And he loves her, and he knows that, he trusts her implicitly and respects the fact that she has her own journey to go on and that he's not a part of it this time. And as difficult as that is. So, I think in terms of his, personal feelings, I don't think Holden, at this point in the story, at least, has any kind of jealous feelings about it. He's just worried about her. I think he just wants to make sure that she's okay. I think a lot of the season for him, frankly, is the struggle and the conflict between what he feels he needs to do for the greater whole of humanity and getting the proto-molecule back, and because he knows what the ramifications are for it not happening, and then being pulled in every single way to get back to her. And, for him, that is the great conflict this whole season, is the struggle between the two. And they're equally important, but he's pulled to her, and ultimately he goes after trying to get her back and just to make sure that she's all right. He's a much more Holden this year than he was in seasons past. But
wouldn't it be hilarious if when Dom or when Naomi sees Steven again, he's completely dressed like Marco? he has Marco's hair, and he has this, because he's just a little bit competitive with Marco. He has the best and the thing.
But that's interesting. I really loved that about this season. We've earned going into Naomi's past and seeing this man that has been talked about and has been the kind of seed of her kind of walking away from this life she had before we find her on the Canterbury. But I think what you get to see with having got to know her with Holden over the years is what all the things that kind of why she gravitated towards him and why she kind of walks so hard away from Marco, because Holden is like, her safe haven in that if she's going to be with a man, it's going to be someone who she feels safe and kind of centered with and has respect for her and lets her kind of, not lets her, but is also kind of partner in her having her own agency. And I think when you now see her with Marco, you're like, oh, he's the opposite of that. He takes away her agency. He is dangerous for her. And I think, you know, we really get to kind of see that Marco and Naomi were teenagers when they got together and had this baby. And so there's that really raw, like passionate kind of unhinged love that they have that I think created this really thin line between love and hate for them. And it's not enjoyable for Naomi anymore. And it wasn't when she walked away. And so she's clamoring to get back to her safety. She whatever this was that attracted her to Marco is also what makes him so dangerous for her. And so I love that you get to see the other example kind of playing out elsewhere in the solar system. But she's in conflict with the one that's the most kind of dangerous for her. I don't know if I'm articulating that very well, but I think it's quite a beautiful kind of dichotomy to see with going back into her past.
Everyone loves a bad boy. Everyone loves a bad boy. He's a bad boy. Sheree,
To summarize it, yeah.
Where are we now, Sheree? With Avasarala has been brought back into the cabinet. That's where we are now by the new Secretary General. We'll see how that goes. But she spent the first half of the season, on the outs, dismissed, sent up on the rock. So I'm watching this, Sheree. I'm wondering. So why do you think for Avasarala, why does she continue to serve out there on the moon? What kept her going after being so marginalized? Is it as simple as duty?
In order to understand this, what duty means to her, we really need to get to know her and her past. She's coming from a tribe of politicians. She was born into politics. I remember I've only read her description in the second novel, chapter 5, I believe it is. It starts with Avasarala's knowledge exceeds her ranks, and she was born into a tribe of politicians. She speaks 10 languages. She knows everybody in politics by their names. She even knows who is dating who. It means that much that she's aware of and she's informed of. So she's a product of politics. And watching her father dedicating himself to the politics of the time, she is inevitably a woman who understands a lot of duty and a lot of. She feels like her father. She too wants to dedicate herself to her, call it profession, which she has become one with right now. And yes, it's a sense of duty. I was watching this, one of my favorite TV series, The Crown, season 4. And I kept bewildering every time Queen Elizabeth started saying, remember your duty. Remember you have a duty. You are the son of the king of this country. You are going to become a king of this country. Duty. She's all about duty. And that's why I have a feeling that, unfortunately, she starts getting further and further from her own family, from her beloved ones, like her daughter. When she asks her to go back to Earth with her, Avasarala looks at her like, what that look really means is, what are you talking about? Then my life won't have any meaning. My existence won't have any meaning, Avasarala is trying to tell her. So this woman is really has dedicated herself to her profession, to the politics. And I think that I loved when the writers our brilliant writers last year started revealing her character. Up until then, we were watching a seemingly shrewd, calculated, manipulative sort of politician, cold politician. But when they took the camera into her bedroom after she takes a shower and her closet, I noticed that writers are willing to show us a little bit more of her real self. Like, we are still dealing with a human who's lost her soul to her job.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes this season in episode 6 is her putting back on her jewels to go recompose herself, to go back out. Like, that was so, I mean, you performed it beautifully, Shore, but just like you're saying, like getting to delve into Avasarala's vulnerabilities and like what we haven't got to see, what she's kept behind closed doors is just so delicious.
And Dominique, I have to share something. I have to share something with Dominique, with all of you as an actor. To be honest with you, every time in the rehearsal, every time we tried, I put the necklace on with no difficulty. It was there. When we started shooting it, I had difficulties putting it together. And I noticed Avasarala's hands are shaking.
Yeah.
And I thought it's better if I don't interfere and do not try to do it myself. Let her do it. Her hands were shaking. And that's why she comes up with, damn it. And she puts them together. But I am so happy that I didn't do anything.
It was perfect. Yes.
I didn't try to straighten it out. I just went with her and it worked. Thank you.
It was perfect. It's one of my favorite moments.
But I mean, just your face and the loss, the not knowing what your family and your husband, and when you walk in, and the level of vulnerability that we've never seen from Avasarala. So it just really shows how much she's loved her family, how she's lost touch with that, and it's such a beautiful performance. Such good work.
Every time these characters show their human side, I have to say, I've started, when the Corona started, I started watching Expanse from season 1. And my God, the continuity of this show, it's amazing. It's mind-blowing. But every time these characters show us a little bit of the human side, it's incredible. They become fully dimensional and easy to connect with and understand, and it's just incredible. And our writers keep doing it for each and every character, except for, we see it less in Holden because he has this gentle soul, as he was describing it to us. That's why we see less of this sort of roller coaster in his behavior and character, but the rest is what they're doing is just amazing, and that's the soul in the middle of it all.
We've always been so privileged to have the writing that we have. We always have had just such spectacular writing, and I was just gonna speak. I mean, Sheree, that scene was one of my favorites that we've ever shot. Putting on those jewels is so moving, and it really speaks to even the episodes we're talking about, that so much story can be told in these quiet moments. Like her putting on her armor, the jewels before she goes into battle, and Naomi telling this epic story over these 2 episodes, nearly silent. I mean, it was nearly silent the entire time, and just so moving and connected. And it speaks obviously to everyone's performances as well. I mean, obviously, but the writing, we've just been so privileged to have it for all of these years. I mean, we're really very, very fortunate.
I'm going to give some specific props to Dan Nowak, because my favorite thing in the world to do when I'm super bored is, like a lot of people, I go on YouTube. What I do on YouTube is, when I'm super bored, I go and I watch the trailer for the 1992 Steven Seagal cinematic tour de force, Under Siege. Dude, if you finish watching this, go watch that. It's incredible lines like, I'm just a cook. It's truly spectacular. And Dan, I understand you hit a pretty amazing Under Siege reference in the episodes. Would you care to explain, sir?
There's a lot of references and a lot of things, but that was just a small one in episode 4. They needed a name for a cook, and I'm an 80s movie dork, or not, that's a 90s movie, but yeah, why not name it after a Steven Seagal character? I mean, we bury some Simpsons references. I mean, we like to amuse ourselves, I guess, in small, subtle ways. Our Easter eggs are usually pretty varied. They're not very overt most of the time, so they're mainly just kind of, if the fans find it, great. Otherwise, it's just kind of us making each other laugh and being kind of having fun with it. So, yeah.
I can't believe I missed that one. I can't believe I missed that one.
Go watch the trailer, man. It's genius, and you know you can learn. So for those that don't know, I guess starring on The Expanse is not good enough for Wes Chatham, because now he's coming for my job. He's hosting his own talk show. He's actually hosting like 2 different shows. I mean, dude, he's got this tie and that guy, then he's got The Expanse after show. I can't even keep him straight. Firstly, back off. Let's just start. All right, I'm very territorial. But in all seriousness, how have you enjoyed getting behind the mic?
Well, the thing is, I don't really see it as a host or doing something, like that. What the idea really came about is, number one, I missed hanging out on set, hanging out, talking to Ty. And usually if I see something that's good or funny or whatever, I always call Ty, like, hey, did you see this? And then we have this long talk about it. But also in combination with that, all of us getting to go to Comic-Cons and interacting and talking with the fans. And even if I go to Home Depot and run into somebody, we always end up having these long, great conversations. What I realized is that The Expanse is this thing that's connecting us all, but we all love genre. We all love sci-fi. We all love these movies. And I said to Ty, I really miss, interacting, going to Comic-Cons and, talking to the fans, but also being able to go see things that I'm fans of and that kind of conversation. And I said, wouldn't it be interesting if we did, a podcast or something where we just talk about The Expanse and then all things that Expanse fans find interesting. And and let the conversations go how it was, so it just feels like we're all hanging out, having a drink together, and then an interaction and kind of connection and relationship with fans also gives us a chance to hang out with our friends and cast and bring them on. And we ended up talking to Amazon about it, and they said, this would be great to do it as an after show with season 5. So we're basically doing the after show with Amazon for season 5, and then the podcast is just starting from episode 1 and just kind of going through and talking about that. But then, we had Thomas Jane on. We're still getting through the podcast. We're doing the 4th one today, but we had Thomas Jane on. We ended up talking about the movie Alien for 3 hours. So I don't know, how many people are going to find Alien interesting, but we're just doing it for fun and, having a good time with it. But it's more about us just hanging out. It's not, really like a host or anything like that.
I feel like one day I'm going to show up my radio show, like, hey, your new co-host, Wes Chatham's here. I'm like, what?
Trust me.
He's coming to you.
Trust me, nobody's job is threatened by my host. I tell you right now.
For fans of the show, there's a lot of, and you guys, I think, have all been on at this point. There's a lot of great nuggets on there. And Sheree, you told Wes, I saw on there, that before you even started filming episode 1, season 1, that this show was going to make it at least 5 years. As you guys were walking around looking at sets, how did you know even back then?
Shoree's the oracle. Yeah. Like, Shorey has predicted the whole thing.
I love you, though. I love you. I have no idea. Wes must have thought that I'm crazy. I was thinking, who's this crazy what's trying to foresee what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, we were touring the set. I saw the shutter and all the practical stuff manual. Usually we leave these things for CGI, but they were all there. I haven't seen a real shutter, but I have seen shutters in movies, and it looked real. And then we went to another set, and they showed us another set, and we were walking 2 by 2. I was next to Wes. I love when Wes does it. He knows how to do it. My accent and my voice. Wes, what did I say?
5 seasons minimum. And what's funny is every year when we come back, so she said at the beginning, we haven't even shot anything yet. And it's in every season we came back, I see her, she goes, I told you. I told you, and she did. She knew it all along. She never stopped believing. But
and I had a bet with Sean Doyle for $5,000. I said minimum of 5 years. He said, no way, I'm here only until 3. I said,
yeah, Sean, you're not going to be around that long, but, but we'll be here.
I said, Sean, I am not talking about your character or my character. I'm talking about the show. This show, 5 years minimum. And he goes, I said, 5,000? And he goes, by all means, make me rich. When we started filming season 5, I started sending him text messages. Sean, you owe me $5,000. He never answered me back. Never.
Coleman,
5,000.
You know what, dog?
I have a feeling this is not the end. Again. Wes, remember that.
Hey, listen, whatever you say, I'm taking to the bank because it's been right on so far.
Even when we got cancelled, I was like, this isn't right. Shori said we're going 5 seasons minimum.
Yeah,
so
I was like, obviously they didn't run this by Sheree. But even, going back and for the podcast and watching the beginning of this episode, the first season, it's literally like going back and watching home family movies, or like going back to a yearbook and seeing all of us and our relationship and the dynamic of the Rossi crew when we first met. And it's really moving to go back and think about when we first were doing this thing and we didn't really know what it was, and then to think about what it's became and how far it's gone and how we've all grown as actors and crew members and writers. And it's, Steven, I watched the scene last night when you and I were shooting the antenna scene and my wife was in labor.
Yeah.
And the amount of memories that's attached from all of our lives of knowing each other for, 6 years now, and having this special experience to share it with. I've never really been a part of anything like this creatively or professionally. And it's a really special thing to be a part of.
Likewise, man.
All right, now real quickly, I want to talk about Chad Coleman, and going to offer spoiler alert in case there's anyone out there that hasn't watched season 5 yet. You've been warned. Chad played Fred Johnson. Obviously, a very dramatic goodbye scene. I've been with Chad on set before on other shows like The Walking Dead, and I know he's amazing to work with. Stephen, what was it like getting to work with Chad? And especially in that final scene,
we had an amazing time this season. I remember he came up for the first episode, and we started blocking out. When we rehearse, we open the sets up oftentimes and like get in there and just start playing around on the weekends and just set everything up. And he had this like epic 6-page scene that just had like all these different gear changes in it, and it starts off really hot about politics and all this stuff, and then it becomes this kind of existential thing, and then it ends in this very personal conversation between these two men who obviously have this amazing connection, just disagree about politics here and there, but to explore those kind of tones with an actor like Chad, who I've been such a fan of his ever since I saw him in The Wire. Just to be able to have one of those kind of scene partners to it's like a dancing partner. You just make each other better, and it was just great. I had a wonderful time with him this year.
And before we get to our next question, Dan, you wrote that episode, didn't you?
Which
Fred Johnson's final goodbye, episode 5?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was
also great episode.
Oh.
Great episode.
And we changed it up from the books too, because he doesn't die in the books, I believe, until book 6. Because we wanted to, I guess, just show Marco's power in basically this coordinated attack, decapitating the head of the OPA while stealing the protomolecule, bombing Earth. This just big coordinated attack, and we wanted something to happen on Tycho. We just felt like it was very organic just to have Fred die in that moment, because now the OPA doesn't really have a leader. And everybody's kind of scrambling what's going to happen next. And it just puts everybody else on the back foot even more. And so when we were talking about it in the room, it just seemed like, yeah, let's go for this. This seems to be a great place to do it.
I also feel like it was the death of an ideal. Like
Yeah, definitely.
Fred represented the opposite of what kind of Marco wants and envisions for belters, and his was more about equality and kind of reform and kind of, you know, joining together with belters having their own agency, where Marco's just like this shit is ours, y'all can go sit down on your inner planets. And I think what that represented is how much Marco is triumphant in this moment with the death of Fred. It's the death of an idea, a system, a following. You know, even with Naomi and Drummer, like as belters, like he represented a promise for us of what could be in probably the most peaceful way. And once I think his death very much marked the end of that, actually. It's very symbolic on a lot of levels, Fred's death, I think, in context of what Marco is doing and where you then stand politically as a belter in the fight for the belt's independence. So it was, I thought it was a wonderful choice, to be honest.
And the fact that also that someone on his inner circle, Sakai, was the one who did it. Someone he trusted, that obviously Marco's tentacles go very far and they influence a lot of people. And so the fact that he was betrayed at the same time, I thought it just seemed to be the right choice to do.
Yeah, and then even like having this father-son relationship with Holden, and then almost like Marco's shift in like, well, now we have to take out the Rocinante, once Fred said, like taking out the prodigal son of this ideal. Like it's very good.
Chad has a presence and he's such a he's a really, really good actor. But one of my favorite moments when I laughed the hardest, and Chad always made me laugh, and I don't think he would mind me telling this story, but when we meet Fred Johnson for the first time, it has this really long reset. So he comes down and he walks down the hall, and me and Steven are in front of the Rocinante, and we're there to greet him. And he comes, and it's a long reset. So if, you know, it takes a while for him to go all the way back down the hall and come all the way back. So he comes walking down the hall, and you're looking at, God, this guy is like, has an amazing look and amazing intensity. And this is Fred Johnson. He came all the way thing, and he hit his mark, and we're holding up our guns, and he goes, Lieutenant Holden. And then it was quiet, and then you hear a voice on like off screen somewhere, and they go, he's a captain. Gotcha. And he turned around and they reset the whole thing. Oh man, that was so funny. I miss Chad. I'm gonna miss him this season.
I do, man.
But side note, before we get to the next question, what's so great about that episode, right after it happens, then you have what I told Narain Shankar, your showrunner, one of the best scenes ever is the recovery mech droid going to get the proto-molecule. I can't even imagine the logistics of filming that scene. Absolutely insane. One of the best scenes I've ever seen in the show.
So
there was a lot of previs in that, and it was, yeah, we had spider bots, and I remember all the conversations we had about the spider going up climbing up the railing. It was like, we had different visuals where it just ripped the railing out, and then it just like cut the railing. There was so much conversation about what to do with it going over the railing, and there was some amazing previs Polygon people where it was spider bots leaving with it, like then Polygon Holden comes in, draws gun, and then like all of a sudden Spider-Bot just like kicks Steven off the screen. It was so funny watching that previs. It was great. Yeah, that was a really fun
Love that scene.
On the day, it was. Do you remember, Dan? It was a man in a blue unitard with a square hat.
Yes.
He's filling in the role of the Spider-Bot on the day. He filled
that is so rare on this show. Like, it's very rare we'll have anyone in a kind of leotard doing nonsense. Like, everything is quite physical, and then the VFX is a screen at most. But I'm actually jealous you got that.
It was awesome.
I want to give everyone out there a little taste of what life is like on the set of The Expanse, and we're going to have some fun doing it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to direct a question to one of the actors who will have to answer, and then the others, including Dan, can either agree or disagree. Shrey, who's most likely to randomly break into song between takes? Thinking.
Wes.
Wes has got a song in his heart, just constantly, right? Wes, how do you feel about that?
It's Dominique, 100%. Dominique is in her own musical, all like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She is dancing and singing. We have a trailer. Our trailers are connected, and we've had our trailers. And every time I'm in there, like I just feel this because she's in her trailer. She's in her trailer, just dancing, listening to music. I'm just so used to like just rocking, like I'm in the ocean.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess you're not with us all the time, Shore. So that was a bit of a trick question.
I only had an interview with you once, and I enjoyed it at the Rossi. I enjoyed working with you guys so much.
Oh, I loved having you on the ship. That was great.
That was fun. That was great.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wes, we'll go to you for the next one. Who is the biggest klutz on set? Who's the biggest klutz, either getting the bumps and bruises or knocking into the boom mic or whatever? Who's the biggest klutz on set of the Expanse?
My initial thought is me.
Yes, you're right.
I just want to search out and think if there's anybody that's more klutz than me. I guess it's me.
That's you. You're the guy.
Yeah. There's other jobs that I've was on where I broke things that were really expensive to fix.
That is an excellent story. We won't go into it now.
It's a good thing you're a mechanic. You can fix it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steven, who has the messiest trailer?
The messiest trailer. Oh shit.
Definitely not you.
It's not me. It's not me.
It's not me.
Not me.
Frankie.
Yes, I agree.
Frankie's got the messiest trailer. I don't know that for sure, but I'm gonna guess that.
She's the youngest one of them all.
Yeah, she's just the youngest.
Me or Frankie.
Maybe Desai. It could be Desai. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna pick one of the two.
This is a bit ageist. This is a bit ageist.
It's true. I take it. It's fine.
The Rossi crew are a bit like we're neat. You walk into our trailers, like our outfits are folded and hung and everything.
Yeah, I was like, I'm probably the messiest out of us. I have a lot of stuff.
And I can get judgy. If I go on somebody else's cream, I can get judgy too. If somebody's like, hey, let's come here, I want to talk to you for a second. I go in their trailer and it's all stuff's everywhere and clothes on the floor and everything. I get a little judgy.
But you're like OCD clean. It's like it's spotless. Anything that Wes owns or resides in is always like, you can't even. So is Steven's the same.
Yeah, and Frankie is very chill. She's super chill, like very.
Look at you backtracking. I reckon
you gotta watch out. She's got Martian armor,
Dude, I wouldn't mess, man. I'm not gonna.
Dom, who is the most likely to accidentally reveal a big spoiler from the show in an interview? Who's most likely to accidentally reveal a spoiler from the show?
Probably Wes. We're all pretty good, to be fair. But I reckon if anyone, it's going to be Wes. I think there's a few times when I've elbowed Wes in an interview.
Steve, is that true?
Yeah, it probably is. It's probably you.
All right, I accept that. Sorry.
Not in a bad way, dude. It's not a bad way.
No. I totally, I understand.
Dan, have you ever seen or heard anyone from your cast do that? Have you ever read or watched an interview and be like,
no, not that I can remember. I mean, everybody's pretty good about it.
Yeah.
We're pretty good.
We are all pretty good.
I think it's more like, who's most likely to.
Right. Happened at some point.
that would definitely be me. And I think there's a reason that Morgan will send me my talking points kind of, once or twice. I'm like, hey, so you got the talking points, right? Talking points, you got all right. Just reviewing talking points. I'm like, I got it. What's going on? I'm really good.
Ray, who is the most like their character? which actor is the most like their character?
Ooh.
I got this one.
Good question. More or less, all the Rossi characters. Because when I joined them, they really looked real. And what I noticed was truly the difference between a good job, a medium job, and a bad job, and an excellent job is all about details, details, details. And when I got to the Rossi and I started working with them, I noticed that they're all interactive actors, and they're all have studied thoroughly the roles, and they're all there to relay it, to act it out, and it was that's why it looked so real. They all look. Dominique was there's a scene between the two of us, which we're sort of quarreling, and my line is that cry me a river if I don't know. And I looked at her, and she gave me the look that was so real, like, woman, what are you doing in our Rossi? And I'm like, oh my God, she's for real. And I look at and he's right there trying. This character is very interactive, so he's trying to first observe, and then make a decision as to how to react to this new person on Rossi. They were all amazing. So it's really hard for me to pinpoint one.
That's a good answer. Wes, you said you had an answer.
I don't.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. That's from a new talk show host, podcast superstar.
Yes, he's like, no.
You get your podcast?
I think though,
No, she answered it so well. You know, if
Wes, I'll give you the flip side.
Who's
the least like their character? Give us that. Who's the least?
So I will go back and answer the other one though. I think that Steven is a lot like Holden in a lot of ways because he has great leadership qualities. And
I was going to say that.
He kind of mothers us sometimes. He takes care of us. And he holds us when we're sad and when we're having hard times, and sometimes he'll make us hot chocolate on a cold day. But I definitely think Holden's probably most like his character.
All right, who's the least like their character, Wes?
Frankie, 100%. Yeah, sorry, I jumped in. I was like, it's Frankie.
That's true. She's doing such an amazing job. You think that she's borrowing some from her own personality, though. She has nothing to do with Bobby.
Frankie could not be less like Bobby if we tried. Like, she is the hippiest kind of like non-straight laced, carefree, happy, like light,
messy trailer.
Like Frankie Says Relax I feel like it was coined by Frankie Adams. Like, I don't know who this other Frankie is, but like that girl is a riot. She is a lot more fun than young Bobby Draper.
Steven, what's your favorite go-to craft services food item?
Oh. It has to be a food.
Anything.
Because in reality, it really is coffee. Like I drink about 15 espressos a day, and I'm not even kidding. Like I think I drink more coffee than Holden does in the show in real life.
You do actually.
I tell you what you do eat a lot of though. That tuna.
Oh yeah. The tuna salad they bring out every 8 o'clock. It's like on the dot. Like there's like a tuna salad.
You've always got some of that.
I always got some tuna salad for sure.
We got to wrap in just a second here, but I'm going to give the executive producer the last word here because we've seen 7 episodes. We've got 3 more to go, and I'm worried about Wes spoiling something, so I'm not going to let him do it. So it's on to Dan to give everyone who's watching this a tease. What can we expect to see? We got 3 more episodes. We know where we're at right now. Amos is looking to get off of Earth. Now Holden's just found out that there's a distress beacon. He's going to be on his way to try and save Naomi. Naomi just did her little spacewalk, and we know that Avasarala are working with the new Secretary General. What can you tell us? What's coming up in our last 3 episodes, Dan?
Well, there's a lot of everybody individually kind of gets some great moments. I mean, episode 8 is amazingly done with Dom and just all the visual storytelling of that episode. And just, she does such an amazing job of just it being a quiet episode with not a lot of dialogue. And it's just so emotional. And then you have great stuff with Sheree getting back into, or Basarala, getting more acclimated with David Pastor and what's going on in Delgado, and just seeing their relationship kind of get amped up more. And then you have Wes or Amos trying to get off Earth, and that definitely gets interesting with his return to Baltimore and where they have to go next. And Holden chasing down the proto-molecule, and trying to find Naomi and see where she's at, because that's going to be the next mission, and just everybody kind of getting back together and hopefully seeing if that can happen. And also Marco, the proto-molecule, what it means for some of the other characters we've seen earlier in the season, who we haven't seen for a while. I'll just leave it at that. But I mean, yeah, everything kind of gets to a fever pitch, and it might not all end in a happy way. So.
All right.
Lots of good shit. That's it.
Yeah.
There's your quote on the poster. All right. Well, much like Fred Johnson on Tycho Station, we are all out of time. Was that too soon?
Are you going to kill us?
I want to thank everyone for joining us for this 92nd Street Y Talk, and I want to thank our esteemed panel of Stephen Strait, Dominique Tipper, Wes Chatham, Sheree Dashlu, Dan Nowak. It's been a blast hanging out with you.
Thank you.
Season 5 of The Expanse is currently airing on Amazon Prime, so enjoy the rest of that, and we will see you next time. Let's all wave goodbye, everyone. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, Dalton. Bye.
Thanks, man.